Welcome to Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald. Hey, that's me. Hi, and welcome to Positive Talk. Our show features the best positive stories and people from around the globe as we endeavor to answer the universal question of why am I here and what is my purpose? Understanding that can change everything, and knowing your greatness is fundamental to living your best life. So join us right now as together we work to create the adventure of our lifetime. And welcome everybody to another episode of Positive Talk. I gotta tell you, I want you to call your friends, your neighbors, anybody that will listen. Call them right now and tell them to get on the Brushwood Media Network, or if you're listening to this or watching this on YouTube, because we have a phenomenal guest with us today. And I say that from time to time, but in this case, it is really honestly true. He is a podcaster of note. He's an author with, I believe, 19 books. He is a musician. He's got a large presence on Spotify. He is somebody that is really interested in helping people live their best lives, which is what this show is about. So it's almost like he's like my father. He created this for me to be, but I think he's probably even younger than me, but it's like his podcast has 800 and some odd episodes, and he's on a radio in LA on drive time. And he's like got it all going on. And I'm going to massacre his last name, but I'm going to try it anyway. And this is Kellan Fluckiger.
You did not massacre my name. It was perfect. And the first thing I want to do is honor you. Podcast is a labor of love, dude. And you put a lot of energy, effort, and time into adding good to the world. And that's the phrase that I use. And when I listen to your intro, every word about knowing who we are, what we're here for, and that giving in to that yearning that we all have to make a difference, to do good, be good, and all that stuff that, yeah, it's kind of weird, except that it's really the core of what life's about. So I honor you for your work, your presence, and everything that you're doing. Thanks for having me.
Well, it is my ultimate pleasure because you're doing the same thing that I'm doing.
I am exactly doing the same thing, and I love it.
And the more people that we have that are willing to do this and to step out of the mainstream, whatever they call media these days, and to be able to really honestly to present something new, and it's new and it's not new, but it hasn't been something that well, you know this. There are people that would say blood cells and blood cell soap and negativity cells and all that. There's not a lot of positive stuff out there. There's more all the time. But when you started this, did you have any idea that you'd end up with over 800 episodes and talking to the numbers of people that you've talked to?
No. We started at the beginning of the pandemic because it was a new thing. No one that was alive then had ever done before. And we got a call about, whether or not we had a podcast because somebody was looking for, positive stuff. And we just started it. I created the name Your Ultimate Life, which is the name of all the shows that I have, because each person breathing has the opportunity to create a life that is purposeful, prosperous, and joyful, regardless of the externalities that happen that we didn't want. I'm not pretending that crap doesn't happen, but you can create the kind of life experience you want. And that knowledge is so valuable. So no, I didn't know it was going to last this long or be this big. And there were several times in the first 200, 300, 400, maybe, that I thought, but now that it's gone on for this long, 1, 2, 3, 4, we're, year 4 plus, and we're just going to do this.
You can't, if you are like me, you've reached a point when talking to the numbers of people that you've talked to with and getting the feedback that I'm sure you've gotten from your shows, the meaning that it offers people out there, you can't quit. There's no possible way for me to walk away from Positive Talk because it is important to me, but it's also important to a lot of other people who I'll never know, I'll never meet, and that's okay.
It is. And we talked about, goals, and I've had astronomical goals the last 3 years and have met them. And the goal each year I set a goal and I have no idea how I'm going to do it, but stuff happens. And this year's no exception. And my year starts October 14th. There's a whole story behind that. But 2 or 3 years ago on October 14th, I just had this feeling, we were going to reach 10 million people that year. And I didn't know how, didn't matter. After nearly a year went by, it was in August of the, year month 10 or whatever. I was on somebody's show and it was about an hour and he asked me all kinds of questions and I just answer like I do. I'm pretty transparent, straight up. And at the end of the hour, he said, "You need a bigger number." And I said, "Why?" And he said, I've been on this show with you for an hour." And then he got emotional and he said, "And you have changed my life. And I'm going to talk to at least 1,000 people this week. You need a bigger number." So that really moved me. And so I thought, okay. So the next October, we set a goal of 50 million for that year. And at the end of the year, which was this last October, I added up, audience sizes. And I never expected to get 50 million emails saying you touched my life, because I don't really know what it means to reach people, but just encourage them and help them realize that the feelings they have are real, the opportunities are real, and they really are something capable and divine and all that good stuff. We added up the audiences, and last year we reached over 75. So when this last October came by, we raised it again. Our goal this year, 250 million. And, I didn't have any idea how we're going to do it again, but some things have happened in the last 3 or 4 months that I just could not have predicted that are going to leverage us to reach that number. And I know that we will. I just know that we're going to do whatever it is. And so, yeah, you're right. You can't quit.
Well, and I want to make this clear for folks because your intention and your intentionality is really clear about what you intend to do, why the show exists, and how you're going to work with it to help humanity. And I believe that when you set your intentions in that way and your intentions are pure of heart and you are really working every day for the best outcome possible for everyone, that great things will happen to you, and you're living proof of that.
It's funny because most people that come to a coach, they want money. They're worried about money. They need more clients. They need more sales. They need more something. And yeah, there's some peripheral crap about fixing relationships in their life and whatever, but mostly it's got to figure out how to make money. And what I know, bulletproof 100%, is after I work with somebody for a few weeks, without fail, that the only thing that we're working on is who you are choosing to be in the world. Like firm choices about who you are, how you show up, how you walk through the world, how you interact with others, the principles that your life is based on. When that's squared away, the rest of that stuff is easy. And so people ask me, well, how do you get clients? And I say to them, and this is true as anything, my business plan's on the wall. And it said, I never look for clients. I look for people to love, opportunities to serve, and problems to solve. And that's the truth. And because that's true, and I just go into every conversation empty to see how I can help, it always, not every person, but lots of times people say, well, this has been really helpful. How do we do more of this, And the answer is, oh, well, I can tell you about that if you want. Here's some programs I got. And, I've signed up people for multi-$1,000 engagements in just one conversation accidentally.
Well, I would submit that there's no accidentally about it. It's like people say, oh, did you remember, and you've referenced this before, there was a movie, Harry Met Sally.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember that movie at all?
I don't.
There's a scene in a cafeteria, and they're talking about sex between men and women, and the woman was saying that she can fake it whenever she wants to, and he was saying, no, you can't. I can't believe that you can do that. And so she did that right there, sitting in the restaurant, and the waiter was taking the order from somebody down the row a little bit, and she was watching this play out, and she goes, I want whatever she's having. And that's what you that's what you provide people is they look at you and they say, dang, I want what he's having or what he's got. And
That's true. That's absolutely, you're 100% right. People say, I've had a guy come to me and say, I don't know what it is, but can I just buy some of your energy? And I don't like the highest compliment anybody ever paid me. I don't know highest, but it felt like it. I went to an event and I was speaking or something, and a guy walked up to me during break, something, and he, video, in person, same dude. And it's like, this is me, first breath to last, every day. I don't have to put on a jacket. I don't have to be anybody. I just am.
now I got to ask you, because in the opening of the show, it says, why are we really here? And what are we really here to do? In your past, going back through the mists of time, was there a moment in your time when that became a large question that you were asking yourself? And like, there has to be more. Why am I really here? And what am I here to do? And how can I make it the best I can? Did that ever happen for you?
Oh my word. There's a dramatic, traumatic story about the whole thing. And I was raised in a regular two-parent home, but my parents, especially my mom, was fanatic about religion, and she enforced it in a particular way and with discipline that today would be felony child abuse. And I would have been removed from the home. And, you know, it just I left childhood, left home at 17 with the conviction that I was not good enough. I never would be, and I wasn't okay. And not only that, but I had to spend the rest of my life proving to my mom that I was okay and get the stamp of approved on my forehead, because obviously she had God on her side. And so what that left me doing is, for the next 35 years, between 17 and 52, I pursued whatever I thought was the quote right thing to do. And I ended up creating a lot of career success, a lot of money, C-suite positions in the US and Canada, blah, blah, blah. But I was miserable inside. And so I kept sabotaging my success. So I ended up married and divorced 3 times. I was a drug addict. I had attempted suicide twice, in and out of rehab. And in August of 2007, I had a divine intervention. And what happened was, on a Friday night, I came home from work and I was getting ready to go out and party for the weekend. I was making plenty of money, enough money that my $3,000 a week cocaine habit didn't matter. And I was a single dad and had 4 of my 10 kids living with me. That was me in August of 2007. And I was getting ready to go out to party. And suddenly I had this urge to turn on the television. That doesn't sound like anything, except I didn't watch TV. I picked up the remote and I'm like, ooh, I didn't know how to turn it on, because I didn't watch TV. I'd bought the coolest stuff, for the kids, the teenagers. They were all teenagers. And my 16-year-old daughter, she took the remote, punched the buttons and threw it at me, dipped weed, left the room. And it landed on a program I'd never heard of. And I don't know if it's on anymore. It's, 16, 17 years ago, called Intervention, which is a reality TV show about families who stage interventions for busted loved ones. And the protagonist in this particular program was a high-ranking executive with a cocaine problem. So I watched my life for about 10 minutes and I said, yeah, I'm not watching this crap. And I turned it off and went and did some other stuff and got ready to go party. And I was just compelled to turn the TV back on. So I did, and this time I knew how. And that program started over. And no, it wasn't on the schedule. And no, I didn't have a DVR. And no, it can't do that, but it did. Holy crap. So I sat and I watched it, and it went badly. The guy yelled at his family, swore he didn't have a problem, stomped out of, there's counselors and all the people there. But it freaked me out. I didn't go out to party. I went to bed. When I went to bed, I went to hell. And what I mean by that is I went somewhere. It felt like I was out of body in a big theater. I could see, scenes on the stage and hear voices and stuff. And the scenes that were playing out were all scenes from my life, and they were all focused on suffering, intense, painful suffering that had been inflicted on me as a kid, up to the suffering I had inflicted on everybody else as a lousy marriage partner, a drug addict, a liar, and all the things that had been, part and parcel of my life. all those years, and it went on forever. And after a long time watching this horrific mess unfold, a voice said, "It is enough." I woke up and was disoriented because the sun was shining in my bedroom window and the windows faced west. And I got up and realized it was 5 o'clock Saturday afternoon. So I'd been somewhere nearly 18 hours. I got up and realized, okay, I've been invited to change. I had no idea where to start, what to do, who to talk to. I'd never really gotten any help or told the truth or, been struggling with depression and not good enoughness and self-sabotage all my life. I'm 52 at this point. But I knew one thing. I'm done. So I threw away $1,000 worth of stuff I had laying around, and I quit the drugs cold turkey that day. And that got me sober, but it didn't do anything about how I got there, which was self-sabotage and believing I was unworthy and, just struggling all my life with this roller coaster of stuff. On Monday, I went back to work and I knew I had to start over. But I didn't know what else to do yet. Because of the position that I held, the decisions I used to make, I affected other companies sometimes to the tune of millions and even billions of dollars. People used to give me nice things. I used to get lots of "let's be nice to Kellan" stuff, right? Not bribes, but, and so like really expensive bottles of booze and tickets.
Just nice gifts.
Yeah, floor seats to this and that. Yeah, those kind of things, right? So one of the things I got was a pair of tickets to see a Yo-Yo Ma concert. Now, if you know classical music, you know who that is. And if you don't, you don't. But in the classical world, that's, So I think, and they're $1,000 tickets. And so I thought, oh, wow. And I don't have anybody to take because I'm yet not doing that. But I thought it'd be ashamed to waste this other ticket. So I asked in the groups that I managed who likes classical music. And a lady in one of the groups that I'd known for 3 or 4 years, but not well, but I knew her. She said, "Well, I do." And I said, "Have I ever given you anything before?" "No." "Okay, we'll see you there." So I gave her the ticket. We met at the venue. And the concert was spectacular, like it would be. And halfway through, you got to know now, this is the date of the concert. I'm 2.5 weeks, stone cold sober. Halfway through the show, I had this feeling come over me that I recognized from 2.5 weeks before. And this voice said to me, "You need to marry this woman." And I flipped out. I said, "You're insane." I said, "I've screwed that up 3 times before. There is no way. That's not happening." Later that night, we were backstage because the reason the tickets were so expensive, they were backstage passes and tickets to the reception and all that stuff. We're backstage and the voice came back and said, "And you need to tell her tonight." And I thought, oh, no. I said, there's a couple problems here. Number one, I know her, but I don't know her well enough to know if she's in a relationship. Like, I don't know her. And number two, she can have me like arrested or for harassment or something. I'm like, no. But you don't win those arguments. So I did. And it went about like you would have expected. Are you insane? What are you talking about? And, she left. And the good news is she didn't have a relationship, which I didn't know, and she didn't call the cops or HR or anything. So over the next 2 or 3 weeks, she had her own personal set of experiences. And about 3 weeks after the concert, I walked away from millions of dollars of contracts. She walked away from her entire career, and we just walked off into the sunset together. And last December, we celebrated our 16th wedding anniversary. And so those two things together were the divine invitation. I want to be really clear. None of the work was done. I had to get help. I had to go see counselors. I had to get into 12-step. I had to learn how to tell the truth. But, and her name is Joy. Like, get with that, okay? She was literally the angel that was sent to help me learn how to tell the truth, to be a person, to have a friend, to be honest, stuff I'd never learned in all my failures before. And so we had to do the work. I had to do the work. Nothing got magically fixed, but the 2x4 was big enough and loud enough that I woke up and I said, okay. And so, yes, there was an event that offered me the invitation to walk a new path. And I literally started life over again, walked out of the industry after 30 years and started over again and become now an author and coach and all the stuff that, because I learned as I was doing the work to get sober and get clear about, this could really be helpful to other people. And so that began to be the passion. What else can I do? This is valuable. Look how it's changed me. There is something to this and I can do this. And then it became, I want to do this and, stumble and fail and figure it out and all the stuff that happens. But then it became a drive and then it became life and breath. And so today I do one thing, morning to night, first breath to last. How do I reach 250 million people? That's it.
And you are on the way of making that happen. And bless you for that story. I love that, because what a lot of people, because you had the opportunity, because we have free will, you had the opportunity to say, I don't think so. I think, you're a nice voice and all, but I think you're crazy and I'm not going to listen to you.
Believe me, that would have been my normal reaction, given who I was and how much I use in drugs and numb the pain and all this typical stuff, And when I first started going to shrinks, the guy said, "I'm surprised you're still breathing, walking, alive." He said, "You clearly have been struggling deeply." One guy said bipolar, one guy said major depressive disorder for all your life. Like since 17 to 52, 35 years, and I'd never gone and gotten help. So he said, "I'm not surprised you did the roller coaster thing. What I am surprised about is that you're still breathing."
That is simply amazing. By the way, we're talking with Kellan, and I'm going to spell your last name because that's also your website, which is FLUCKIN, or excuse me, IGER.com. That's Kellan Fluckiger.com, and go there. You will find programs, there are courses, he does speaking, you can get his books, you can go look at his podcast. He's got 800. You'll spend all day at his website just going through stuff, because it can change your life. And we need to take a quick break, but we'll be right back. You're listening to Positive Talk. This is one heck of an episode. We'll be right back.
They have your eyes. They have your ears. They have your smile. Now all they need is a little more of your time. Make a difference in your child's life, because anyone can be a father. It takes time to be a dad.
And welcome back to Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald. We've got a great guest for you today. His name is Kellan Fluckiger, and he is a remarkable human being. He's done so much, and he's got lots more to do, because he ain't giving it up anytime soon. I can tell you that, because with the results that you have, not only, first of all, I want to congratulate you on making the changes that you did at 52. It's not easy to do. A $3,000 cocaine habit ain't easy to break. I'm amazed that you were able to get all that done, and to then get married, and then to write 19 books, and to be a musician, and to do all the things. Do you ever stop and think to yourself, man, I'm pretty cool. That's pretty nice stuff I got going on?
No. And that's a truthful thing. If I stop and think about it at all, I'm overwhelmed with gratitude that the Creator offered me the opportunity to change and then to make a difference. And it overwhelms me with gratitude every time I think about it. And what I say about that is, if there was ever a poster child for somebody that should have been left at the bottom of the canyon, it was me. And even in that circumstance, no matter where I had been and all the stuff I had ruined, there was an invitation. And the invitation is for anybody, anywhere, everywhere. And I don't pretend for 1 second that I alone have done anything. I mean, Joy, my wife, she's my business partner now, and she is an angel. I call her that every time, and she's a holy being to have taken on that opportunity and felt her own experiences that this was the right thing to do. I mean, that happened in September, and in October, she moved in with me, and we got married in December. We're talking right here, right now. And we both knew that it was crazy. We knew it was the right thing to do, but we knew that this was crazy, the setup and everything. And so when we talked to each other, we said, okay, look, we both feel like this is absolutely the right thing to do. And we also both know that it's crazy. So we have to make a deal. If we're going to do this, then this is ride or die, baby.
Well, that's how you guys made it work. Really, it's that you eliminated the back door, and it was like, this is going to be it, and we're going to do this, and we're going to make it work. And congratulations, and congratulate Joy for me, because
she's a holy angel. I couldn't imagine anybody in any universe any better of a person. And she's also a great cook. She's a degreed graphic designer. She runs our website stuff. She runs our teams. She had a career as an eBay merchant for 25 years, in addition to the job that she held down, which was also related to creative stuff. And she was a project manager in the industry that I was in at the time that these events happened. But she is literally, an angel. Like, this could not have happened. And so, no, I don't ever feel like, yay, look at me. In fact, I have a document that governs my life. It's my own personal manifesto, an agreement with God. And one of the lines in there is, I am that I live to work as an instrument in divine hands with no desire for glory and no fear of rejection, ridicule, or humiliation.
That's a bumper sticker. That's awesome. That really is cool. I gotta ask you though. You're 52. You've gone through 3 marriages. You've gone through a couple of events where life was no longer worth living, and all of those experiences that you had from when you were a kid to that moment when you were 52, they all added up to something that was going to then make you realize your greatness. And without those experiences, you would not be the man you are today. Am I losing my mind?
People ask me all the time, well, if you could go back in time and change, I wouldn't change anything, because it is in the crucible of trial that we make the choices of who we are. So I feel like I have been refined. I mean, those kind of traumas, wherever they are, whether they're self-inflicted or other inflicted, they can ruin us or they can refine us. And sometimes they ruin us, and later we decide to let them refine us. But if we let them ruin us, then that's what we chose. If we chose later to allow them to refine us, which is what you're referring to, then that's what we chose. And so I wouldn't trade anything. I wouldn't trade any of it. It has given me enormous patience, which I didn't have before. It has given me the ability to forgive like I would never, ever have imagined was possible. It has given me the capacity to love without even blinking, because I have received.
It truly is amazing. And I want to point this out for folks, because of the fact that when you were in your 40s and you were going through all this stuff, and people could see it, and you were it was part of your life. And there are people out there today that are where you were in your 30s and 40s. And I want to make it clear to you that Kellan did it. You can do it. It's just a matter of saying, I want something different, and to be open and to trust that will come if you are willing. And you said it earlier, which is the big key. If you're willing to do the work, nothing is for free. You need to be able to and willing to do the work. Do you agree with that?
I couldn't agree more. You like when people in woo-woo speak, in the self-improvement industry and everything, people say, well, you can create anything you want, you can have anything you want. And that's all true. But the but is you have to be willing to do the work. There is a road. There is a road from wherever you are to wherever you want to go. There is a road. The only question is, are you willing to walk it? You know, it might be steep. It might mean crawling over broken glass. It might mean a lot of stuff. It did for me. So I don't know why anybody else would think, you know, there's no free ride. Nobody falls up a mountain. You do have to do the work.
I've tried.
Yeah, when I started this thing after that happened, the declaration was, I'm done. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to do it. I didn't know anything yet. But as I threw away what I had, I mean, I could just as easily have used it, like you said, and said, hey, I don't know what that was, but we're not doing that. I flushed it. I said, I'm done. That fist pounding internal declaration, that's the starting point. I don't care what you want to do. It's burning the boats. It's like, okay, I'm going. That's it. And that's where you start. And then you can have anything you want.
It is an amazing thing. And a little later, I'm going to talk about the 50,000 foot view that we're not entitled to, because I'll tell you now, we're in the forest, and we get to see the tree ahead of us and the tree behind us. We have to trust that we are going to walk in the direction that is going to lead to a better place. There's another being or group of beings, or there's the universe. They get the 50,000 foot view. And so if you listen, if you pay attention and you listen to them and you listen to your heart and keep it open and your intuition, you'll walk in the direction that you really want to go to get to where you want to be. And it takes time, it takes effort, and you're right, you can't fall up a hill. I've tried, it doesn't work very well. And by the way, we're talking with Kellan again, and Fluckiger,
Fluckiger. Kellan Fluckiger.
Thank. I have always had a problem with names, and I appreciate that. But we need to take a station break, but we're going to come right back. And by the way, again, while we're away, we're only going to be away a minute and a half. Call your friends. This is a very important episode, and the life you save may be somebody who's near and dear to you. And we'll be right back after these messages.
You're listening to Brushwood Media Network, the best in syndicated talk, news, and entertainment shows.
As you go about your daily life, look closer. As you gather with family and friends who love and support you, look closer. There are youth right in your community who don't have the home, warmth, and healing you have. So look closer. Every year across America, a staggering 4.2 million youth are homeless or trafficked. And for 50 years, Covenant House has worked relentlessly to keep them safe and protected. Tonight, 2,000 young people will sleep safely in a Covenant House bed. And tomorrow, they will wake up surrounded by love. They get clean clothes, hot meals, medical care, and a safe place to sleep. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. In sites across America to help them fulfill the great promise of their lives. So look closer at Covenant House. To help or get help, go to covenanthouse.org.
And welcome again to Positive Talk Radio. See, that didn't take very long. You only could call a couple of friends, so I hope you did that and get them here on the Brushwood Media Network, because this type of conversation is so important, because there are so many people who do not make that decision to just flush $1,000. I want to point this out, to flush $1,000 worth of it's almost like, well, I could flush it, or tell you what, why don't I just use this and then I just won't buy any. That's the head part of you that is talking about, I don't want, that's $1,000 I'm just going to flush away. And I also want to point out that if you are in that place and you don't feel like you can get out of it, there is a place for you to go. It's called 988. It is a number, a national hotline. If you are feeling like you have no friends, like you have nothing, that you're feeling perhaps suicidal, you want to get out of where you are today, but don't know how, they can refer resources to you. Again, that's 988. and that's national hotline. So I just wanted to get that out, Kellan. I'm sorry.
No, thank you. I love that because the yearning to change is in all of us.
Yes.
The idea that we can do better, we can be better, we can have it is in everybody. And depending on your own stuff, it's a fleeting fire, a little candle that gets put out. And so, and then the idea fades. And, you said, oh, I could have done that. I could have, but I know exactly what would have happened if I had. What would have happened is the whole experience would have faded. The whole thing, it would have been gone. It would not have stayed with me and caused me to do anything if I had given into that thought. And the emphasis and power of the thing was so profound that I didn't consider it for a second, but I could have. And that certainly would have been the normal thing.
And I couldn't help but notice, and if you were watching this on YouTube, perhaps, when you were talking about Joy and your wife, a tear came to your eye, and it means so much to you, and this life that you are creating means so much to you, and the gratitude that you feel is really real, and it makes it really easy to get up in the morning, doesn't it?
It does. I have a morning ritual that is, the idea of morning ritual, the 5 a.m. and all that kind of stuff. I have created a process that begins with a document called a PTAC, Personal Truth and Commitment Document, and a morning ritual that I never, ever, ever, ever skip. And the reason I don't is because it makes me feel so good and so connected and so focused on who I have chosen to be. Nobody has to agree. Nobody has to give you permission. And that kind of emphasis, power, commitment, drive, you can have it. I used to hate getting up and snooze and everything else. When my alarm goes off at 4:30 on some days and 5 on others, I just jump out of bed because, I've rested, I'm up, and I have a day in front of me to talk to Kevin, to talk to you, to figure out how to reach my people. I have an email I have to write after this to a lady who's went to Ukraine twice after the war started over there, and she made a movie, 2 of them, to talk about the plight and the children and the effect that it's having. And she's asked me for help and publicity. And she's a high-powered lady. I looked her up, and she knows senators and in Washington, D.C. and blah, blah, blah. And I get to help with that. And so when I wake up in the morning, what's on my lips is not, oh, I'm tired. Oh, I don't want to get up. Oh, crap, do I have to get up? What comes out of my mouth before I even am all the way awake is my commitment to who I am, because I have chosen that. That's who I am, not what I'm doing. It's who I am. And that is the key. You decide who you are, and then you figure out how to put the activities in place that remind you and that support you, whether it's internal or whether it's who you hang out with or whatever. But you right now listening to this, you can have anything you want. You can be anything you want, but nobody's coming. Nobody's going to do it for you.
And a lot of times, it takes somebody who is outside of you to help you understand who you really are and the things that you can do within your life. And that's why a coach, the right coach, let me put it that way, the right coach can be paramount to learning how to live your best life. And I submit that Kellan would be an excellent choice. If you can get in, I suspect he's rather busy.
Well, I love my work. I am busy, and I always figure out how to help in some way those that I can. Some people say, well, I can't spend any money. I can't afford it. And, it's a question of what's your life worth. I don't mean threatening your life, but what is the meaning of your life worth? And I found that between coaches and counselors and the kind of help that I finally started seeking after that invitation was paramount, essential, critical. I can't even find a word. You can't do it alone. And even though God or the divine or whatever you call it is available, if you've said no and ignored it so much as like I had, you can't even hear it. You can't notice it. And if you do, you don't trust it. And so that's a developmental process to learn to develop your intuition and trust it and move forward even when it's uncertain or scary. You can develop all those skills. And it takes exactly what Kevin said. It takes internal and external resources. That's the thing that's most fun about coaching is I get to be with people when they say, I didn't think I could do that.
Can I tell you a real quick story?
Please.
When I was 42, I went to Thanksgiving with my mom, and we were talking about life after death, and they're fundamentalist Christians, and they have a particular viewpoint that didn't really sit well with me. And I was trying to figure out there has to be more, and I kept rattling around in my brain. There has to be more, and so we go to a friend's house after this, and I get to meet a guy who I'd never met before. He was now dating a good friend of ours because she'd recently got a divorce, and his name was Mark, and he was a very spiritual man. And so we started talking about, I started talking about this. There has to be more. I don't understand. And they looked at each other and said, we've been talking about this all day. And we ended up, because I was fortunate, I had no idea. I knew I wanted to change, and I wasn't happy with being a mid-level manager, and I had the house and the gun and all that stuff, but I wasn't happy. And I didn't know how. And so meeting him ended up being a catalyst to everything else I've done since then. We haven't talked in 20 years because he came in and then he went out. But we all get that opportunity, and if you don't know where it is, look for it. It will show up, doesn't it?
100%. When the student is ready, the teacher appears, or the teacher appears when the student is ready. When you want to change something bad enough to actually take action, the path will appear. You will talk to the right person. You'll read the right book, and it will begin the motivation. It won't do the work for you. That's like watching YouTube videos and expecting to be able to do more push-ups. And I can watch a million YouTube videos and my arms won't get any stronger. But I might watch a YouTube video and say, dang it, I can do that. I'm going to start. Oh, okay. And then I get a trainer and I get a workout partner, and we do some things so that the momentum keeps moving. And that's where coaching and that sort of thing plays such a role. I call coaching the people encouragement business, because as a coach, I'm not selling information. I'm selling shortcuts, hand-holding, and accountability to help you do things you don't believe at this moment you can do.
It's interesting. That same guy, I asked him just sometime later, I said, well, I want to find out more about this, and then, but I don't know where. And he said, I want you to go to a metaphysical bookstore, and I want you to buy the first book that speaks to you. I said, he speaks to me. I don't quite understand. So I went to that metaphysical bookstore, and there was a book that was on the topic exactly what I wanted to find out about, that was on a end cap that was right there, and the book was brand new. It was by Dr. Michael Newton, and it's called Journey of Souls. And that book meant a tremendous amount to me, because that was answered every question that I had up until that point, and it sent me on the path of where I ended up and continue to go down that path today. And it was all by divine guidance, even though it appeared to be, oh, that's a coincidence.
There's no accidents. There's no accidents. And we can spend all day arguing about all that stuff, or we can lean into it. I call surrender. People talk about surrendering, and I think of it as abdication and some other nasty things. Surrender, another good word for that, is just trust. Trust that there's a way. It's not without thorns, and not without work, and not without setbacks, and not without plenty of times when you say, am I crazy? Why did I do this? But still a path. And so do what you said. Trust your intuition. Go and look. I'm looking for guidance on this thing. I want to change. I'm not sure how. Maybe I should talk to somebody or whatever. Do it. Start.
And it's amazing the people that will just... Now, Kellan, help me here, because I don't want to appear like this is pie in the sky kind of nonsense, kind of woo-woo kind of talk. But I want to let people know that the concepts are sound, they happen, and it's true. that if you really trust in yourself and what you want to go do, and you verbalize it and say, this is who I want to be, that things will conspire in your life to make it possible for that to happen. And that's not, in my mind, that's not woo woo. What do you think?
I'll just be plain old woo-woo. There's been plenty of people that are powerful, that are capable. Thoreau, who lived on Walden Pond, he said, I have learned this by my experience. So when one endeavors to live the life he has dreamed, he passes an invisible boundary. And then he waxed poetic and said, unseen forces come to your aid, and some other mumbo jumbo. The point, and I don't have it memorized, the point is it's real. You can dismiss it as woo-woo if you want to. And in a 30-year career, I was in electricity and energy and supervised PhD engineers. So I was, math-based, science-based. And I'm not a nutcase, but I can tell you that it's true. And just because we don't understand how it works doesn't mean it isn't real. You don't know how electricity works either. And you go turn the switch on all the time. And so probably, maybe there's some double E's here in power engineering, but there's all kinds of things. You don't need to know how it works. Go take advantage of the tool. You turn on the TV and watch it. Do you know how that works? No, neither do I. But we use it all the time. So the intuition's there. The divine and other help is there. There is much more going on in the universe than we even begin to know about. It's been unfolding flawlessly for umpteen billion years without my help. So there's something organizing things. And when you, as an individual, decide, I want to change, I want to do a good thing, and I'm willing to do the work, ideas, people, stuff shows up. And I gave you one quote from Thoreau. There's dozens of them, of storied people throughout history that have made pronouncements that are like that. A firm declaration, moving in the direction you want to go, is the start. Being open and looking for the kind of help that Kevin talked about in a book or a talk or a coach or whatever is part of that. And then fierce determination that I'm not going back. That combination is unstoppable.
Maybe it's just me. Maybe I need to be on medication, or maybe I could use that $1,000 you flushed down the toilet. But I was thinking that when I make that commitment to myself and I make it and I verbalize it, there is like an unseen force. I call them my guides. They're on the other side. And when I said to myself, I don't know why I'm here, but I want to learn why I'm here, somebody teach me. It was like on the other side, they were like, okay, he said, yes, now we can go to work and we can plan this and we can do that and we can get it and make it all happen in our terms and our timeline, and not necessarily in his, because he's impatient, but he'll get it done.
You couldn't be more right. There seems to be one of the rules of engagement in this whole human experience, that agency or choice will always be honored. So we have to decide. I've never known God to make me quit or do anything else, or anybody else that I've ever talked to. And believe me, I've talked to plenty, as Kevin has. But when you decide, I'm going, and you declare it, I said I have this long morning ritual, 2.5 to 3 hours every day. Part of it is repeating my declarations, not because I have to, not because I want to be some rote nutcase that recites stuff, but because I'm reminding myself of a set of things that are already true. Like if I say I am a son of God, and that's part of it, I am a son of Almighty God, that's true. Doesn't matter what I do. But when I remind myself of that, I think different, I behave different, my outlook is different. Other things in there are aspirational. One of them is like, I am my word. I speak only truth. I do what I say. I am who I seem, with no camouflage, duplicity, or guile. Well, I'm not perfect, so that's aspirational. But just the reminder of things that are absolutely true and things that are aspirational in that powerful way, it wakes me up. And I do it every day. Why? Because I want to be all in every day. I don't want to be half-assed. Why would I start a day half-assed? That'd be like a basketball player. I'm going to skip the warm-ups today, and then they lose the game. Why would you do that? You want to show up in your life. It's the only one you got.
That's it. By the way, we're talking with Kellan, and his last name again is FLUCKIGER.com. Go to his website, find out all about him, and I'll tell you, you're a pretty awesome dude. We need to take a real quick break, our last one, and then I want to make sure that we get all the information out about you, how people can work with you, what you got coming up next in your life. What are you creating next? Would be a really fun little bit. So we'll be right back.
A lifetime of savings can disappear overnight. Millions of dollars are stolen every day from unsuspecting older adults by family members, caregivers, and trusted professionals. If you suspect financial exploitation, call the Elder Care Locator at 1-800-677-1116 or go online to the National Adult Protective Services Association to be connected with help in your area.
And welcome back to Positive Talk. You know, I got to tell you, Kellan, I love the PSAs that Brushwood Media puts out there for us to run because, let's see, we talked about being a good dad rather than just being a father. We talked about the need for us as a country to work together for our homeless kids and the ones that are being trafficked. Then we talked about older people being taken advantage of for their financial stuff. All those things are really important to life, and so are you. If somebody wants to contact you, how do they get that done?
Well, and one of the benefits of having a weird name like Kellan Fluckiger is that I can't hide. So as long as you spell my name right, Kellan Fluckiger, you can find me everywhere. Amazon, I've got lots and lots of books. YouTube, Ultimate Life Formula. My podcast is Your Ultimate Life on all the regular outlets. My website is my name. Believe me, I had no trouble. I got my website for $2. Like, we wanted KellanFluckiger.com, right? And then on the screen here, if you're seeing that, yourultimatelife.ca. I use CA because we live in Canada right now. And incidentally, every one of your PSAs I love. The elder thing. My Joy's mother is living with us. She's 92. And we're taking care of her in her final years because we're not going to put her somewhere. We're just not doing that. And she'll be with us till however long that is. So I just couldn't agree with you more in terms of who you're being and everything you said. If you connect with me on social, I love meeting people. So this is your specific invitation to talk. And before you make it a reach out, what do you want? What do you want to help with? What would you like to have happen? Because I have become a catalyst, an alchemist to make things happen that wouldn't otherwise happen. So bring your dreams and let's have a conversation. You can find my books all over the place. Spotify, look up my name, Kellan Fluckiger. I have, as of this moment, 88 songs. And you ask what's coming. The next 3 will be up in the next 2 weeks. And they're part of a series that I've been doing that go with some of the books that I've written. I wrote a book called Tightrope of Depression, my journey from darkness, despair, and death to light, love, and life. And then I wrote an album of music with 11 songs telling stories. And that was only going to be the only book I wrote about, my journey. And then when I got done, I realized I wasn't done. So I wrote a book called Down from the Gallows in connection with the rope theme. And there's an album of music with that. And there's another album that's coming out, piece 3 songs at a time. So I just published a book called Living with Purpose and Power. That's just recent in the last month and a half or 2. I have 6 books underway, but I won't probably have another one out till the end of the year. I have learned to write a lot. One of the things I love doing is helping people write their stories. So I wrote a book called The Story Arc, which is about how to organize and tell your story. Because what you have experienced is valuable, whoever you are, wherever you are. And if you've got that yearning, listen up. So that's kind of an answer to all that stuff.
It really is remarkable. And you are, near as I can tell, and we've talked a couple of times now, I suspect, and I'm pretty sure I know this, that if somebody walks up to you, the person that you have portrayed yourself to be on this radio show is the person that they will find, without filter, without question. You are the man. Years ago, a guy, when I was doing a radio show and I was one of the last, he gets on and he says, I want everybody to know that is Kevin is who he is. He's not somebody else. He doesn't make himself different or better, but what you hear is when you talk to him on the phone, that's what you hear. It's the same thing. And I suspect that you are exactly the same way.
And it's, you know what? You're right. And I love living life that way because then I don't have to be anything except who I am.
Ain't that the
I
truth?
don't have to go figure out which jacket I'm wearing today. I remember during the painful years coming home from, being high-powered something or other downtown and going in my study and shutting the door and saying to myself, literally, I don't know who the frick I am. I don't feel anything. I can be anything you need me. Point me in the direction, give me a 3-piece Armani, and let's get it done. But I don't know who I am. That's not true anymore. So I know exactly who I am. And it's so fun to live that way because then I don't have to be anything.
You see, it's so fun when you are talking about telling the truth all the time. Yeah, then you don't have to worry about what you said to this person or that person. And if you're doing those things, please, you're only hurting yourself. Stop that. Decide that you want to be who you were destined to be, who you were born to be, because you were born great. And then we spend most of our lifetime proving that we're not so great. And now recognize that you really are, and you can do anything that you want to do in life. You may need somebody who's an alchemist or somebody who can help you. Kellan is that guy, and he can set you on a path, not so that you have to work with him forever, but he can give you the tools so that you can go help yourself, which is what it's all about anyway, isn't it?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I've worked with lots of different people in different programs over the years, and they're designed to do what they do, and you decide when when you've accomplished that and you move further. So absolutely. I'm just so grateful to you, Kevin, for the show you're putting together. I know you have multiple things, and for who you're being in the world, your choice to add good to the world. That's still a phrase I love. Add good to the world. Love it. Grateful to be here and delighted to meet your audience.
Well, and let me tell you this, young man, I want you back on a regular basis or whenever you'll consent to come back, because I now have a mission, and that mission is to help you get to 250 million people. Can you imagine the changes that can take place if you can touch 250 million people?
I don't have any idea what that would do yet, but I know it would be amazing, and I know I'm going to find out because we're going to get there. And I would love to. My only goal in being on any show ever is how can I serve your audience, and I mean that not in some self-serving weird way. That's it. How can I lift, bless, love, appreciate, and help people realize how great they really are and what they really can do? And so, yes, I'd love to do that.
Your website one more time so somebody can find you quickly and easily.
So my name, www.kellanfluckiger.com. And if that's too hard, www.yourultimatelife.ca. And I use .ca because we're in Canada right now, but www.yourultimatelife.ca, or of course, my name.
And I want to thank you for being here. We're going to do this again. I promise the audience that. Hey, thanks for listening to this episode of Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald. We are a production of kmmedia.pro, a full-service media company. Whether it is audio, video, shorts, or longer pieces, we're able to take each project from beginning to final product within your time frame and on budget. Visit kmmedia.pro for more details about us and to get started on your project. We also would like to thank the Brushwood Media Network for all their support. Go to brushwoodmedianetwork.com to find out more about them and the quality shows featured on the network. Until then, we'll see you next time. My name again is Kevin McDonald, and please remember, be kind to one another because each other's all we've got.